Greetings, welcome to the RC Wallet Vacuum channel. In today's video it's going to be a heart transplant, and if I don't cut myself it shouldn't get too bloody, but our patient is this Rovan 450 XLT that I aptly named FrankenTrac, and its heart is beating over here in this box. So let's see what's inside of it. So one problem I always run into while you're trying to do videos, especially stuff that's on a bench and I'm trying to shoot a image down in there. I was trying to get a good camera position. So I went back to the CAD and whipped this this design up in 3D printed. So it allows me to mount that Z30 Nikon mirrorless up on there and spin it all over the place and swap lenses. So anyhow, let's get on and opening the box. So I'm kind of new to the fifth scale, and so I haven't made all of my rounds to all these different companies. I do have an OBR pipe on the LoZ 5T, and it's a great pipe. And this is going to be my first OBR engine. It took a little while to get it in. They're having some manufacturing problems out there, but my impression with Sean is Sean seems like he's a really helpful guy and a very honorable and a conscientious individual. I would advise dealing with those guys. They seem excellent out there. So we'll see what we got in here for the engine. A lot of packaging, that's good. Safe. What it's supposed to be is a 47cc. I believe I got the signature porting on it. Got the chrome pipe. And yeah, this is a beautiful piece of craftsmanship here. Definitely worth the wait. Hopefully that'll fit in there. And they do have the mounting kit on there. I don't know if they normally mount the kit on there ahead of time. But anyhow, we're going to take it and go through and see. These engines, they say they're for the LoZ 5T original version only, and not for any other vehicles. So I'm hoping this Rovan is enough based on a 5T original that I can get it to work in there, or if need be, then it's off to the mill and the lathe to make anything to work in there. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how this OBR works, and they did a beautiful job on it. And thanks to Sean and the boys out there for a diligent effort to get this thing out. And we'll dive into that. So the whole point of this video was to, well, obviously I want to get the engine there and play around with it, but it's geared towards anybody who's looking to actually upgrade one of these Rovans or King Motor vehicles, the LTs, the XLTs, whatever the case may be, to use one of these engines. So if you stick around, we'll see what actually is involved with installing it, and we'll go from there. Yeah, they do a lot of really nice work on this thing, and like I said, I really like Sean. I think he's a great guy, and I'm sure I haven't dealt with the other guys out there, but I'm sure they're also great guys and know what they're doing. So let's get the original Rovan out of there. See if we can get this thing fitted in there. So over here on the stock vehicle, it became really obvious, and that wasn't really a surprise, that once I slapped the tracks on this thing, it really struggled with it, especially the clutch. The engine probably would have been able to handle it power-wise, but the clutch was slipping so bad, and I've already popped the engine free. I'm going to pop it up and out of there. I'm going to show you just how bad the clutch got chewed up on the thing. So I don't know how well the camera's going to focus in on these clutch pads, but this one here is gone, and it's nice shiny metal there. This side almost looked like it wasn't even engaging, and the clutch bell itself was shined up pretty good in there too. So, and this engine has very little time on it, and only a couple tankfuls of gas. I mean, it's a leaker. I don't get that, but I'll leave my opinion on that one out. So once the engine goes in on this thing, that's just the beginning of it. I'm going to be replacing the front and rear differential housings with RC Max, and the steering mechanism is going to be changed out. I'm going to go with the LoZ 5T all aluminum up on there. All these parts are going to be changed to aluminum, and I'm going to replace these. These I'm going to probably take and get some 6061 hex aluminum rod and mix them on the lathe and get some chromoly ball ends from McMaster Car and make my own. And drive shafts, I'm going to replace them with hardened aftermarket Lowe's parts. The problem comes in these CV joints coming off the side here. This, I believe, is mostly based on an MTXL. So I'm going to try to put some stock MTXL in there and see how that holds out. And Todd from RC Ohio informs me that he's got a highly modified Lowe's MTXL. He runs the stock MTXL rods or CV rods in there and has them hold up. So thanks to Todd for the info on that. That's probably what I'll end up doing. And the electronic, I'm going to stick to the servos in there for now until they fail, and then I'll go to probably 845 high-techs or the AG FRCs. I am putting a 6200 Spectrum in it, and that way I can use the DX5 radio I have on the other units. And sometime later this summer, I'm going to set up an anodizing booth. I want to anodize these mounts, the mounts for the tracks down here. And then if I make new rods up here, I'll anodize all that stuff. So if you're interested in anodizing, stick around later this summer. I'll be doing some anodizing videos. And the other thing too is all these pins, these hinge pins. The front ones are replaced with Lowe's 5Ts, and I got a carbon fiber pin brace in there. Rears, I got to do them too. The steel, it's mild steel. Where the others, the Lowe's are definitely some kind of hardened steel, like a A2 or something along them lines. So let me try to get this thing cleaned up a little bit and some parts out of the way, and then I'll set the engine in and see what we got to do next and see how the gears are going to mesh up. And I do got a slew of different mount tabs for the bottom, different, like 18, 19, the 20, 18 and a half, stuff like that, to see. Hopefully I can find a combination that'll fit in there, and see if I have to do any machining or if it drop in, so stick around. And then I'm going to pull this 6-volt nickel metal hydride battery out and replace it with a 2-cell LiPo, and I can stay consistent with my other vehicles. And then this battery is going to get repurposed for this over here. And this setup is a homemade motion detector wireless alarm system for up here in the shop. It's based around a couple 16F873 microcontrollers, which are 22 IO pin microcontrollers. And up here at the transmitter section, I'm going to need one dedicated line to send out the coded ASCII text strings that'll show which transmitter or which sensor went off. And then I'm going to need probably 3 IOs to control the nickel metal hydride battery charging. I got to be able to monitor temperature and voltage, and then also drive the charging circuitry. And that leaves me, I think, like 17 or 18 open IOs, depending on how I do the battery, for motion detectors, trip alarms, glass breakage detectors, whatever. And anyhow, the data gets sent in as coded ASCII text strings into I use a surface acoustic wave transmitter module. And that sends, it'll go probably a good 600-700 yards, which is plenty of distance in this situation. And that goes down to the receiver, which is in the house right next to my bed, and my nightstand. So God save whoever comes up here and tries to break into this place in the middle of the night. And then at the receiver end, I will have, there'll be an LCD on there that'll show which sensor went off. And there'll be an audio alarm and then a visual alarm. And so I need 6 IOs for the LCD and 2 for the different alarms, so I'll have plenty of extra IO on that one. But then whoever shows up, I'll be greeting them with a thermal imaging scope and attached to something I won't bother to mention. So this is kind of a diversion from the RC stuff, but I am hoping this year to do some more electronics related RC projects. I've been working kind of on a couple theoretical ideas. One is like an active roll control that would involve a servo and some gyroscopes and accelerometers and a counterweight to try to control rollovers and stuff like that. And I've also been playing around with the idea of replacing the shocks in the 4 corners of these independent suspension vehicles and replace them with servos, and actually having the gyroscopes and accelerometers being read by, it would have to be a pretty sophisticated software program, and actually you would so the shocks working, the servos would move back and forth to control the vehicle. It's definitely going to be a complex project, but I'm probably going to play around a little bit with that. I don't know, might not be worth the effort, but it's something interesting, I guess. So if you're interested in electronics and stuff like that, stick around. I am going to be doing some more projects related to electronics. But anyhow, back to this Rovan engine change out. So I got all the stuff cleared out of the way, cleaned all the grease and crap out of there, and got this new OBR set back in there. And oh, it's in there so well. So certainly, if you're anyone interested in putting one of these into these Rovans or King motor or whatever the case may be, it's definitely doable. It fits in there real well. The only issue I'm gonna have, and it's such a minor one, is over here on the throttle servo. Rovan's got a brace. Let me get my camera focused down in there. Because that brace comes up and goes to the center differential. There's a little bit of interference with this setup here. So I'm either going to make a new one of these, or I'm going to make a new one of these braces. I'm more likely going to make one of the new braces, because I mean, this OBR thing they got is really nice. It's got the engraving and stuff on it, so I'd rather keep their stuff in there. And I'll make a different one to tie that throttle servo, if it even needs it. It really doesn't probably even need it. Steering, yeah, but not throttle. So I might do a little trimming back here when I slide this over more. They got it already notched out, but I may have to do a little more, but who knows. But other than that, this is going to work super great. So when I welded up this roll cage, I held off on doing all the final welding because I figured I'd have to do some modifications when I put a new engine in there. And it's not as bad as I thought, but you know, I have to take in, this deck's going to have to be cut back, clear the pipe. It's going to have to be cut back over here to clear the plug wire, because right now it's actually shifted, all the things shifted back a ways. And over here, I got to do something about the intake system. What I'm going to end up doing is I'll end up somehow integrating a guard in here to keep the snow and shit from getting flung out of these tracks into the intake. I'm not sure what I'm going to have to do. I have to play around with that. So there'll be some modifications on that too, but all part of the fun. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt the engine in all the way and set the gear mesh, and that way I'll be able to establish what the number you'd want to use for the your engine mounts, and we'll get that established. So stick around a second. So I got the bolts put in on the thing, at least the 4 base bottom ones there. It actually is a really good fit. There's very little modification you got to do it. I already mentioned a couple of them. You'll have to take probably have to pull the pinion gear off the OBR just a little bit forward because it wasn't quite meshing up with the gears. So what I ended up doing is stock 19. This Rovan had a stock 19 pinion and a 58, I believe, ring gear, and the OBR comes with a 26 pinion, so that's a huge jump. I mean, you're going from like a gear ratio of like 3 down to 2.2. So the stock 19 tooth engine mounts definitely are not going to work. But what works real well, and I have some 18s, 18S, etc. What worked best is stock Losi 5T 20 tooth, but you put them in backwards. And if they go in backwards, it puts the engine up. You can see I got the piece of paper I've been running the mesh through there, and it got down in there with a pin gauge, and there's only a couple thousandths between the peak of the pinion into the crest of the value of the ring, and it should be a really good fit. And I don't know how good that ring gear on the Rovan's going to be. I'll probably have to change that with a better gear eventually. But so as far as this build goes, I'm going to be putting a hold on a little bit, because now I wanted to get the engine in to see if it was going to work before I spend more money on this thing, and it clearly is going to work really well in here. And so next step, I'm going to get the wallet vacuum out, put the turbocharger on it, and start buying up parts for this thing, and I'm going to do it all in one shot. But so if anybody's interested in upgrading their Rovans to a really badass engine, it's definitely doable. It's not that big of a deal. I think other than the engine is going to be some 20 tooth pinion gear engine mounts for Losi to upgrade to it, and whatever modification you do for your pipe and intake. But this should make for a really interesting vehicle once it's all said and done. When I go to break it in, I'm going to pull the tracks off, put the wheels on. I don't want the extra back torque being applied to the clutch and the engine. I'd rather break it in with the easiest load as possible, and I'll leave the tracks off for the summer, and then winter I'll put them on. I got to do some modifications to the roll cage to try to seal up everything in there to keep the snow getting in from the clutch and the intake and stuff like that. And then the tracks, I'm going to go through and rebuild these tracks. I think I might actually go through and try to, on the lathe, spin off a whole bunch of new idlers and put bearings in there. And but I don't know if I'll get to that or not. And I just their tensioners need some work. And we'll see if these tracks can actually hold up to the horsepower this engine I predict is going, or I assume is going to be producing. So a big thank you to Sean out there at OBR and getting me this beautiful piece of craftsmanship. And I'm looking forward to giving it a test fire. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for run videos. It's going to be a little bit, but they'll be coming.